Good morning, dear students. Today we will discuss observation methods. Scientific observation is actually systematic. How? We will discuss it in just within the next slide. You see, but you do not observe. Yes, it happens with us every day. We see everything, we have a look at things, we might praise them, we do everything, but we do not observe the things carefully. We do not observe patterns, we do not observe human behavior carefully, we do not observe physical objects carefully the way they should be observed by us, right? So this PPT might tell you that how should we observe things. Observation basically is a systematic process of recording actual behavioral patterns of people, objects, and events as they happen. When I talk about observation, initially in the same unit we talked about surveys. Surveys were something that researcher was asking something from the respondent, he was replying about his own behavior, right? But when it comes to observation, the researcher is doing everything. Researcher is observing the behavior, and respondent doesn't have to do anything here. Respondent is not doing anything, just researcher is observing the thing. Respondent might be participating in something, some event or something like that, which is being told to him by the researcher itself, but he doesn't have to remember things, he doesn't have to do anything, he just has to participate and do the things normally. But observation will be done by the researcher. How? By recording actual behavioral patterns of people, or maybe of objects moving up and down and doing things, or maybe some events as they occur. The event might be observing someone buying something, and while you observe buying pattern of people, you can observe their actual behavior when they are buying something for anyone. You can start observing them when they enter the shop or say mall or anything like, and then you can start observing them while they are looking at things, right? You can observe them, the way they behave, you can observe their eye movement, their facial expressions, everything comes under observation here, right? You can observe people while they talk, while they walk. You can observe objects like in case of machineries, you can observe the machineries, that how they work, how they actually work, what is the event which comes before and what is the event which comes after, when it comes to machineries working, right? Everything when you are observing is observation instead of survey. In case of survey, both the parties are equally involved, researcher as well as respondent. But here in case of observation, respondent is not doing anything, he is just being observed here by researcher. Observational studies gather a wide variety of information about behavior. Yes, they do, and they can collect information related to everything related to that people, object, or event, even more than survey. And it actually is a scientific inquiry if it serves a formulated research purpose. Observation is something like you are just sitting and you are observing something, that is different. But if it is serving basically a formulated research purpose, you can actually call it as a scientific inquiry. Or if it is planned systematically, then also it would be a scientific inquiry. Or it is recorded systematically and related to some general propositions, rather than being presented as reflecting a set of interesting curiosity. It is not just a curiosity you have, but it is actually related to some general proposition. You have actually set up a proposition or say hypothesis, and then you are doing it. Then it would be actually a scientific inquiry, or it is subjected to checks or controls related to validity and reliability. So When I call observation, I can call observation as scientific inquiry if it serves a formulated research purpose, or it is planned systematically and it is recorded systematically, and it's related to general propositions rather than being presented as reflecting a set of just interesting curiosities, and is subjected to checks or controls on validity and reliability. When it comes to scientific inquiry, validity and reliability are very important things. If something is not valid and not reliable, then you cannot trust on it and you cannot generalize this. So it is not going to become a scientific inquiry then. But when we say that the thing, this source of information is reliable, you generally use it, right? But if the source of information is not reliable, you might not use that particular source to fulfill your requirements, right? So the same way, when we talk about scientific inquiry, it should be reliable. So validity and reliability check is very important in case of observation when we are doing it for a research purpose. What can be observed? Physical actions can be observed, such as work patterns of people, how do they work, or television viewing. That is also a kind of physical action, right? Then verbal behavior can be observed. For example, office conversations you can observe, or maybe you are at the airport and you are listening to people, that how they talk about flights and all, right? Then express behavior, the behavior which can be observed with the help of tone of voice or facial expressions, right? That is kind of expressive behavior. Then special relations and locations. For example, physical distance between workers and or workers and machinery, or maybe some traffic patterns, that is also related to space. Then temporal pattern, such as the amount spent on shopping something, or maybe time required to perform a particular work task. Physical objects, for example, finished good inventory. Then verbal and pictorial records, for example, content of memorandum. So these are basic things which can be observed. Let us have a look at them with one example each, though I have mentioned the examples, but still for you as in just to remember, I have put them in the PPT as well. When we observe of human behavior or physical action, you can mention this as an example, like shoppers movement pattern in a store, like how they move from the kids section to the male section and then to female, or from general section to the kids section, or they go to the grocery store first and then move to the kids section, or maybe from general section to the male and female section. Like that you can observe the behavior, like how maximum people behave. And you can just make a table of like 100 people visited the store, 10 people out of 100 behaved like this, that they moved to general section first, then to the kids section, and then to other sections. 50 out of them moved to kids section first and then to other sections. Like you can make a table and you can observe like how much how much people behave in which way, and you can make some propositions on related to them. Then verbal behavior, for example, statements made by airline travelers who wait in line. The kind of talk they have, you can listen to them and then you can observe their behavioral pattern, that how they behave, how they talk about things, right? Then expressive behavior, maybe facial expressions, these are very important. Sometimes people are like, they do not talk, they do not reply you instantly, but everything comes on their face, like whether they are liking it or not, right? So facial expressions are very important. Then tone of voice, that also tells you whether the person is actually agreeing on thing, or he is just trying to not argue, and that is why he is just agreeing to the thing, right? Tone of voice also tells you the truth. Then other form of body languages, for example, the way person sits, the way person walks, these are very important expressive behaviors of person. Now, for example, facial expressions, tone of voice, and the way we walk and talk. Then spatial relations and locations. It's related to the space between two objects or people. It's related to different locations. For example, how close visitors at an art museum stand to paintings. Like I am seeing a painting, for example, and how closely I go to the painting and look at it. You can observe that kind of behavior of people so as to place paintings accordingly in the museum. Then temporal patterns. How long fast food customers wait for their orders to be served? How long they wait, and after what time, after how many minutes they become impatient while waiting. You can observe these two behaviors, right? Then physical objects. For example, what brand name items are stored in consumers' pantries? You can observe such physical objects as well. Verbal and pictorial records. For example, barcodes on product packages. These are actually the records of product packages. Then categories of observation. What kind of categories can be there while we are observing things? Maximum number of times when we talk about research, we are observing human behavior. And human behavior can also be observed in two ways, either through a human or through a mechanical system. For example, you can just observe a person, or you can put a camera and observe the person mechanically, observe the whole process of the thing happening mechanically with the help of a camera. You can just install a camera and observe and record everything, and then you can put your observation remarks later on. You can observe the whole process through a video later on, or you can actually put camera and observe the behavior by sitting in one room through a computer system. Then this is also a thing, visible versus hidden. Sometimes cameras are visible in the room, right? Sometimes you put hidden cameras. It depends like what kind of the research you are doing, but hidden cameras always put some ethical standards, some ethical questions, because it is not actually ethical to put hidden cameras, whatever kind of the purpose you have, but sometimes it's really necessary. So hidden cameras are also used when it comes to research and some investigations. Then direct research and contrived research, we will just discuss them, what these are, just the meaning of them. Then we will be discussing them and their types in detail in another video. Human observers are commonly used when the situation or behavior to be recorded is not easily predictable. Sometimes we don't know what is going to happen next. So in that case, human observers are better observers than mechanical observers, because maybe something is happening near the camera right now, and maybe people are moving from one place to another place. And in that, cameras, installing cameras at every place is not possible. And if even if cameras are near the person with somebody who is moving with them, sometimes it's not possible to move along with the persons whom the researcher is observing. So in some cases, human observation is more beneficial than mechanical observation, when we know that the behavior is not actually predictable. In that case, we will be recording every observation through human observer only. Mechanical observations such as by traffic counters on a factory floor can be very accurate when the situation or behavior to be recorded is routine. Sometimes if you see these days, most of the factories and shopping malls, even at the shops, you will see cameras are there. So when it is a routine process or it is repetitive, then you should always go with the installing a camera and observing everything with the help of the mechanical system, for example, computer system. That's always better in that case. Human behavior, human observer is different and mechanical observer is different. There are no chances of error when it comes to mechanical observations, but in case of human observer, there can be lots of errors. Then visible versus hidden. An observation situation in which the observer's presence is known to the subject is the one whom we are studying right now, then it is visible observation. For example, you have already told the person that you will be observed, or maybe the person knows that here is a camera in the room and everything he is doing is being recorded. That is visible observation. Situation in which the subject is unaware that observation is taking place is hidden observation. It can happen in both the cases, human observer case and in the case of mechanical observer as well. Maybe I am observing someone and purposely for a purpose of research, and I'm not telling them that I am observing them. I might be asking them questions which are being recorded by me in my mind, and later on I might be noting them down. That is also a kind of hidden observation if I'm doing that. Or if it is being recorded by the camera, which is hidden from the subject, that is also hidden observation through mechanical observation. So visible versus hidden, both the kind of observations are possible through human as well as through mechanical observation. The important thing here is, in case of observation, asking subjects to participate in the observation in the research is not required. When those subjects are unaware that they are being observed, then asking their permission is not necessary. You can tell them later on that they were being observed, right? But if you ask them beforehand that yes, you will be asking them questions, and or maybe you will be observing them, or maybe you tell them that this camera is observing you for such and such responses, then their behavior might not be accurate. I mean, their behavior might not be original. So that is the reason sometimes we hide the camera, or we do hidden observations through human observers as well. But that is actually not 100% ethical. Hidden observations raises ethical issues concerning respondents' privacy. This always comes up, and this is 100% true, because if I am being observed, or maybe I am in a room, I'm doing something, and that all the activities I'm doing is being recorded, then it might not be ethical if I don't know, right? And everybody wants that they should be notified beforehand that they will be observed or they are being observed. And it is everyone's right, humans right, that they should be told before they are being observed. Then direct observation. What do you mean by a direct observation? Direct observation can produce a detailed record of events or what people actually do. Observer plays a passive role, that is, there is no time to control or manipulate a situation, right? The observer merely record what occurs, but they just record everything. Many types of data can be obtained more accurately by direct observations than by actually questioning them, right? For example, record of traffic union counts, or maybe some time and motion study can be observed, right? So observation also, direct observation is also important, and this is generally done with the help of cameras only, mechanical observations only. But there might be some errors associated with direct observation if it is being recorded by the human, because sometimes like I discussed in visible versus hidden observation, sometimes when we tell the subject that we are observing them, they might not behave well, right? They might be biased about their behavior in general, right? So this is about direct observation. What do you mean by contrived observation? Observing subjects in an official environment in order to test a hypothesis is called contrived observation. You actually create an artificial environment for them and then you observe. For example, you might ask a person to enter the shopping mall and try to behave in a way that they are trying to shop something and they are trying to pick objects from the trays and then coming to the counter to pay the bill. In that particular setting, they might not be able to behave actually the way they would have been behaving otherwise when they are actually doing shopping, right? Sometimes it is not actually possible for people to behave in artificial inquiry, because when you know that you are being observed, you have to behave at certain steps and you have to actually do these things. Sometimes it's not always possible that you will be behaving the exact way you would behave in original environment, right? Then benefits of these were the four kind of behaviors we generally have when it comes to research. We will just discuss human behavior in this slide, in this particular PPT, in this video. Then other behaviors would be discussed in next video. Let us discuss human behavior. Benefits of observing human behavior are: communication with respondent is not necessary, because here you are actually just observing the behavior. So you do not have to ask them the questions, right? So it's not necessary that you communicate with the respondent. Then data without distortions due to self-report can be generated. There would be no bias of social desirability. For example, I feel like that I should be, recognized as socially well-behaved person, and I might behave accordingly if I know that I am being judged or I am being observed, right? But here, if I don't know somebody is observing me, then I'll be behaving my natural self. So there is no bias. No need to rely on respondent's memory. Yes, respondent doesn't have to remember anything. It is all done by the observer himself. Non-verbal behavior data may also be obtained. I'm just normally speaking to the person and my facial expressions can be recorded. The way I walk, the way I sit can be recorded. The way my eye movement is being done, or maybe the way I smile, or whether I don't smile on something. These can be observed. All the facial expressions can be recorded. This is actually non-verbal behavior. Certain data may be obtained more quickly. Yes, some data can be really obtained quickly rather than in surveys, because in surveys you have to ask those questions, in a particular way. For example, I want to ask someone about their behavior, but I will be starting with some general questions. So I will come to the behavior part little later, right? But in case of observation, I'm already observing the person and I can observe them very quickly. Then environmental conditions may be recorded, may be combined with survey to provide supplement evidence. Yes, sometimes it can also be done while doing the survey. Just don't ask the actual questions in reality, but you might ask them those questions after completing the survey. You just tell them that yes, your survey is complete, thank you so much, and all those things, and then you can ask them about some things, like, what do you think about this? This is also a problem in the society and all that. Like, you can just talk to them and you can get answers about their behavior. This can be done beautifully if you have the art. Some limitations are also there. For example, cognitive phenomena that cannot be observed. For example, their attitude in actual. You cannot observe what is how they be, what kind of the attitude they carry, what are the things which motivate them, right? This is actually cognitive phenomena. Or interpretation of data may be a problem sometimes. Sometimes you have recorded think systematically, but while interpreting the data, this might be distorted. So that is actually a problem. Not all activities can be recorded. Yes, not everything can be recorded. So this is also a kind of limitation while observing human behavior. Only short periods can be observed. If you go for longer periods of observing human behavior, this is not actually possible for a human observer to do that, and sometimes it becomes costly when you go for mechanical observation. So observer bias is also possible. Yes, sometimes observer can also be biased while observing the human behavior. It's sometimes he is not actually doing that bias. I mean, by himself, but it just happens. Possible invasion of privacy is also there. If you are going for hidden observation, that yes, it really create invasion of privacy. It should not happen. Some eye tracking monitors are there to observe eye behavior, right? Some pupillometer devices are also there. Some psychometers are there, and voice speech analysis can also be done. These would be actually discussed in another video. Let us discuss now some true false. Number one, it is typical in observation studies for the observer to ask questions of the person who is being observed. Is it true? No, it's false. No questioning or communication with people is needed in observation. Second, attitudes can be observed. No, you cannot observe attitude, actually 100%. Third, so it is false. Third, one limitation of observation as a research method is that the observation period is generally short. Yes, it is a limitation. It is true. If you go for longer period of observations, then it would not be possible, or it is very costly. Fourth, researchers can observe people or events with human observers or with machines. Yes, 100% true. You can observe people or events through both human as well as machines. Fifth, mechanical observation best suits a situation or behavior that is not easily predictable in advance of the research. It's false. Human observation is better suited for these type of situations or behaviors. Sixth, hidden unobstructed observation maximizes respondents' error. It actually minimizes the error. So it is false. The results of observation studies can provide complementary evidence along with other measures for a respondent's true feelings. Yes, it's true. Some self-assessment questions. Number one, discuss the role of observation as a research method and list the types of observable phenomena, giving an example of each. You can list down all the kind of observations we discussed in just first or second slide, and then give examples of each. Second, compare and contrast direct observation and contrived observation. You just have to define them and then compare. Third, discuss the ethical issues particular to research using observation. What should a researcher consider when collecting observation data? That's it. Thank you.